My world felt small and quiet. I had just moved to a new town for my dad's job, leaving all my friends behind. The house was bigger than our old one, but it felt empty. My room, with its pale blue walls, seemed to echo with silence. I would sit on my bed for hours, scrolling through my phone, looking at pictures of my old friends having fun without me. Each laugh, each group photo was a painful reminder of what I had lost. The loneliness was a heavy blanket, making it hard to breathe sometimes. I missed the easy conversations, the shared jokes, the feeling of belonging to a group. Here, I was just the new girl, an outsider looking in. I wanted to connect with someone, anyone. The school hallways were a sea of unfamiliar faces, all moving with purpose, all part of conversations I couldn't join. I tried to smile at people, but most just looked past me. It felt like I was invisible. At lunch, I would find a quiet corner and pretend to be busy on my phone, just to avoid the awkwardness of sitting alone. The days were long, and the nights were even longer. My parents were busy with work and unpacking, and they didn't seem to notice how lost I felt. I needed a friend. Someone to talk to about my day, my thoughts, my fears. That's when I turned to social media more seriously. It wasn't just for looking at old friends anymore, it became my escape, a place where I could maybe find a new connection. I joined a few online groups for people who liked the same books and music as me. It felt safer there, behind a screen. No one could see how nervous I was. No one could judge me for being the quiet new kid. I could be anyone I wanted to be. I could be confident, funny, and interesting. It was a digital world where I hoped to build a new social life one message at a time, to fill the silence in my empty room. The profiles I saw were full of happy people with lots of friends. I scrolled through them, feeling a mix of hope and envy. Maybe I could be like them. Maybe I could find someone who understood what it was like to feel so alone. I started commenting on posts, trying to join conversations. It was strange at first, talking to people I had never met, but it was also exciting. Each notification, each reply, was a small spark of connection in my lonely world. I didn't know then that this digital world had its own dangers lurking just beneath the surface of friendly profiles and cheerful messages. One evening, a message request popped up on my screen. It was from someone named Alex. His profile picture showed a boy with a kind smile and friendly eyes, about my age. He said he saw my comment in a music group we were both in, and thought my taste in bands was cool. My heart did a little flip. Someone had noticed me. Someone thought I was cool. I quickly typed back, trying to sound casual and not too eager. I told him I liked his profile picture and asked what his favorite song was by the band we both liked. It felt so easy, so natural. Our chat started simply. We talked about music, movies, and school. Alex was funny and easy to talk to. He seemed to understand everything I was feeling. When I told him about moving and feeling lonely, he was so sympathetic. He said he had moved a few years ago and knew how hard it was. It felt like I had finally found someone who got it. We messaged every day, from morning until late at night. The constant ping of his messages became the soundtrack to my life. It was a comforting sound that chased away the loneliness. I started looking forward to his messages more than anything else. Alex told me about his life. He said he lived in a town a few hours away. He had a dog named Buster and a little sister who annoyed him. He sent me a picture of Buster, a cute golden retriever. Everything he said seemed so normal, so believable. He asked me about my life, my family, my dreams. I found myself opening up to him, telling him things I hadn't even told my parents. I trusted him. He made me feel seen and heard. He was becoming my best friend. Even though we had never met in person or even spoken on the phone, the trust grew stronger with each conversation. He would send me good morning texts and good night messages. It felt like I had a real friend who cared about me. I started to rely on his support. If I had a bad day at school, I would tell him all about it, and he would always know what to say to make me feel better. He became my secret, my digital confidant. My parents noticed I was happier and asked if I had made a new friend. I just smiled and said yes, but I didn't tell them my friend was someone I had only ever met online. I didn't think it mattered. After a few weeks of constant chatting, some things started to feel a little off. They were small things at first, easy to ignore. I asked Alex if we could video chat one day. I wanted to see his kind smile in real time, to hear his voice. But he always had an excuse. His camera was broken, his Wi-Fi was bad. He was at his grandparents' house where there was no internet. The excuses were always plausible, but after the third or fourth time, a tiny seed of doubt began to sprout in my mind. Why was he so hesitant to show his face? Was he shy? Then there were the inconsistencies in his stories. One week, He told me his little sister's name was Emily. A few weeks later, he mentioned his sister Jessica was having a birthday party. When I asked him about it, he got defensive. He said I must have misheard him, that he had always said her name was Jessica. I felt confused. I was sure he had said Emily. I let it go, telling myself it was a simple mistake. But the incident stuck with me. It was like a small crack in the perfect image I had of him. I started to pay more attention to the details he shared. His social media profile was also strange now that I looked at it more closely. He had a good number of friends, but almost no one ever commented on his pictures. The photos he was tagged in were all from a few specific accounts that also looked a bit strange, with very few posts of their own. His own pictures were mostly of landscapes or his dog, Buster. The few photos of himself were a bit blurry or taken from a distance. I tried to do a reverse image search on his profile picture, something I saw in a movie once, but nothing came up. I felt a bit silly for being so suspicious. I tried to push the doubts away. I told myself I was overthinking things. Alex was my friend. He was kind and supportive. Why would he lie about his sister's name or avoid a video call? Maybe I was the one creating problems, looking for reasons not to trust someone. I wanted to believe in him, to believe in our friendship. The comfort he provided was too important to me. So I ignored the small red flags. I chose to believe his excuses and forget the inconsistencies. I continued to chat with him every day, pushing the growing unease to the back of my mind. The real alarm bell rang one afternoon. I was talking to Alex about my new school. I casually mentioned the name of the school and the town I lived in. I hadn't told him the exact town before, just that I had moved to the state. His reaction was immediate and strange. He started asking very specific questions. What was the name of the street my school was on? What did the mascot look like? Was there a big park near my house? His questions were no longer friendly curiosity. They felt like an interrogation. A chill went down my spine. How could he know to ask about the park? I felt a knot of anxiety tighten in my stomach. I gave him vague answers, suddenly feeling protective of my information. He pressed harder, asking for more details. He said he was just curious about my new life, but it didn't feel like curiosity. It felt intrusive. It felt wrong. I told him I had to go, that my mom was calling me for dinner. I needed to get away from the conversation to think. My hands were shaking as I put my phone down. Why did he need to know all of that? The friendly chat had suddenly taken a dark and unsettling turn. Later that night I couldn't sleep. I kept rereading our conversation. His questions seemed so innocent on the surface, but my gut was screaming that something was wrong. I decided to be direct. I messaged him and asked why he wanted to know so much specific information about where I lived. His reply was quick. He said he was thinking of visiting his cousin who lived somewhere around there and thought maybe we could meet up. The idea of meeting him, which once seemed exciting, now filled me with dread. The excuses and the strange questions were all adding up to a very scary picture. That was the moment my trust in him shattered. It wasn't just a small crack anymore, it was a gaping hole. I realized how much information I'd already given him. He knew my name, my age, my school, and now he knew my town. He knew I was often home alone after school. He knew I felt lonely and isolated. I had shared my vulnerabilities with a stranger, and now that stranger was asking for a map to my front door. The fear was no longer a small doubt. It was a cold, hard presence sitting right next to me in my once safe bedroom. The fear escalated quickly after that day. I started to pull back from Alex, replying to his messages less frequently and, keeping my answers short. He noticed the change immediately. His messages became more demanding. Why aren't you answering me? Are you ignoring me? Don't you want to be my friend anymore? The friendly tone was gone, replaced by an edge of anger that, honestly, scared me. It felt like I was trapped. I wanted to block him, but I was afraid of what he would do. He knew my name and my town. What if he got angry and tried to find me? Then, the new account started. I began getting friend requests and messages from profiles I didn't recognize. They all had one thing in common. They knew things only Alex knew. One message said, "I know you like the band The Midnight. Alex told me." Another said, "Alex is really sad you're ignoring him. You should talk to him." It felt like he was sending his friends after me, creating an online army to pressure me. Each new message was a reminder that he was out there, watching, and that he could reach me through other people. My phone, once a source of comfort, now felt like a portal for threats. The threats soon became more direct. One of the strange accounts sent me a picture. It was a screenshot from an online map with a red pin dropped right on my town. The message underneath it read, "It's not that far away." I felt my blood run cold. This was no longer about a broken friendship, this was about my safety. He wasn't just a boy in another town, he was a faceless person on the internet who was now threatening to cross the line from the digital world into my real one. I felt sick to my stomach. I finally blocked Alex and all the other strange accounts. But the blocking didn't stop him. He started leaving comments on my old public posts from new anonymous accounts. The comments were nasty and personal. He used the things I had told him in confidence against me, twisting my words to make me sound pathetic and stupid. He was trying to humiliate me. The fear turned into a constant buzzing anxiety. I made all my social media profiles private, but I still felt exposed. He knew my name, he knew my town, he knew where I went to school. The shadow on the screen was getting longer, and I was terrified it would soon fall across my doorstep. The online threats were terrifying, but I still held on to a sliver of hope that it would stay online. I hoped that it was just some angry person hiding behind a keyboard, hundreds of miles away. That hope was shattered one evening a few days later. I was home alone, finishing my homework in the living room. My parents were at a work dinner and wouldn't be back for a few hours. It was dark outside and the wind was making the trees scratch against the windows. The house felt big and creaky, every sound magnified by the silence and my own growing paranoia. Suddenly I heard a noise from the backyard. It was a soft snap, like a twig breaking under someone's foot. I froze, my pencil hovering over my math book. I told myself it was just an animal, maybe a raccoon or a deer. But then I heard it again, closer this time. It was a shuffling sound right outside the glass sliding door that led to the patio. My heart started pounding in my chest so hard I could feel it in my ears. I slowly turned my head towards the door, my body rigid with fear. The curtains were partially open, leaving a dark sliver of the night visible. Through that gap, I saw a shape. It was a figure, tall and dark, standing on my patio, looking right at the house. I couldn't see a face, just a silhouette against the faint glow of the neighbor's security light. Pure panic washed over me. I ducked down behind the sofa, my breath catching in my throat. Was it him? Was it Alex? Had he actually come here? My mind was racing, filled with a million terrifying questions. I crawled on my hands and knees to where I had left my phone, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold it. I didn't know what to do. Should I call the police? What would I say? That a shadow was in my backyard? It sounded crazy, but the fear was real. I could hear my own ragged breathing. I stayed hidden behind the sofa, clutching my phone, my eyes glued to the glass door. The figure stood there for what felt like an eternity, motionless. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, it moved away, disappearing into the darkness of the yard. I stayed there, crouched and trembling for a long time, too scared to move, too scared to even breathe. The line had been crossed. The fear was no longer just on my screen. It was outside my window. I didn't tell my parents about the figure in the yard. I was afraid they wouldn't believe me, or that they would blame me for talking to a stranger online. I was also afraid that talking about it would make it more real, so I kept the terror to myself. For the next few days, I lived in a state of high alert. Every creak of the house made me jump. I kept the curtains closed and checked the locks on the doors and windows constantly. I felt like a prisoner in my own home. The place that was supposed to be my sanctuary had become the source of my greatest fear. A few nights after seeing the figure, it happened again. I was in my room, trying to distract myself with a book, when I heard it. A soft, hesitant knock on the front door. It wasn't the confident rap of a delivery person or a neighbor. It was a quiet, almost secretive sound. My parents were in the living room watching TV. "I'll get it," my dad called out. My heart leaped into my throat. I ran out of my room and stood at the top of the stairs, peering down into the entryway. My dad opened the door. Standing on our porch was a pizza delivery guy, but we hadn't ordered pizza. My dad looked confused. "I think you have the wrong house," he said. The delivery guy checked his phone. "Is this 123 Maple Street?" he asked. That was our address. My dad shook his head. "Sorry, we didn't order anything." The delivery guy apologized and left. My dad closed the door, shrugging it off as a simple mix-up. But I knew it wasn't. My blood ran cold. He knew my address. Alex, or whoever he was, knew exactly where I lived. The pizza was a message. It was a way of saying, "I know where you are. I can reach you." It was a silent, terrifying threat that only I could understand. The fear was no longer a shadow in the yard. It was standing on my doorstep. I felt a wave of nausea. He was toying with me, enjoying my fear. He didn't have to break in. He didn't have to hurt me. He just had to show me that he could, at any time. I ran back to my room and locked the door, leaning against it as tears of fear and frustration streamed down my face. I was not safe. The next day at school, the nightmare continued, but in a new and horrible way. My friend Jessica came up to me at my locker. She looked worried. "Hey," she said quietly, "did you see the new profile that added me last night?" My stomach dropped. I knew what was coming. She showed me her phone. The profile picture was a black square. The name was something generic like John Smith. The account had sent her a message. It read, "Ask your friend why she lies to people online. Ask her about Alex." My whole body went cold. He wasn't just targeting me anymore. He was going after my friends. He was trying to isolate me, to turn my real-life friends against me by spreading his twisted version of the story. I felt a mix of shame and terror. This was my fault. I had let this person into my life, and now my friends were being dragged into his sick game. I tried to explain to Jessica, my voice shaking. I told her the whole story, from the first friendly message to the pizza delivery. She listened, her eyes wide with shock. Thankfully, Jessica believed me. But the damage was done. Over the next week, several other friends received similar messages from different anonymous accounts. Some were confused, others were scared. The rumors started to spread. People at school started looking at me differently, whispering when I walked by. The loneliness I had felt when I first moved here came rushing back, but this time it was worse. It was mixed with fear and public humiliation. The Catfish was succeeding in destroying my social life, both online and off. That's when I knew I had to tell my parents. I couldn't handle it alone anymore. That evening I sat them down and told them everything from the beginning. I cried as I told them about the messages, the figure in the yard, the pizza, and the harassment of my friends. They were shocked and scared, but most of all they were supportive. We went to the police the next day. They took a report and started an investigation. It was a relief to finally have adults helping me, but the fear didn't just disappear. The experience left a deep scar. It taught me a hard lesson about trust and safety in a world where not everyone is who they seem. This whole terrifying experience changed me. It opened my eyes to the dangers that hide behind screens and friendly profiles. I learned that the internet is not always a safe place, and you have to be careful. You have to protect yourself. Based on what happened to me, I made a set of rules for myself. These are my rules for staying safe online, and I hope they can help someone else avoid the nightmare I went through. They are simple, but they are incredibly important. Following them is not about being paranoid. It's about being smart and being in control of your own safety. First, and most importantly, protect your personal information. Think of it like a treasure. Don't give it away to just anyone. This means your full name, your address, your phone number, and the name of your school. Never share these details with someone you only know online. People can use this information to find you in the real world, as I learned in the most terrifying way. Keep your profiles private. Use the privacy settings on all your social media accounts to control who can see what you post and who can contact you. Don't accept friend requests from people you don't know in real life. Second, be suspicious of people who won't show you who they really are. If someone you're talking to online constantly makes excuses to avoid a video call, that is a huge red flag. A real friend would have no reason to hide their face from you. If their stories don't add up, or if their social media profile looks fake or has very little real interaction from others, you should be very cautious. Trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't let someone's kind words blind you to the warning signs. Your intuition is a powerful tool for survival. Finally, always tell a trusted adult if you feel scared or uncomfortable. Don't keep it a secret like I did. I was so afraid of getting in trouble that I put myself in more danger. Tell a parent, a teacher, or another family member. They can help you, they can support you and help you decide what to do next, whether it's blocking someone or reporting them to the police. You are not alone, and you don't have to handle scary situations by yourself. Being safe online is a team effort, and the most important members of your team are the trusted adults in your life.